Okay, so this, in one sentence, he tells about the jail, the courthouse, the plantations home, the aristocratic families, the aristocratic ladies, the Indians and their lands. He can tell about railroads building, slavery, lynching, the child abuse and women abuse. He can tell about rape and miscegenation. He can tell about the civil war and how brothers kill each other. But as a whole, he tells about human misery and malaise. So all of these themes are told in one unique sentence. And I have named it the octopus sentence because of this ability to have tentacles and that each part tells something different. But they are told in one single sentence. And my question is, why? Why does Faulkner tell it in very, very long sentence where he is able and he is very skillful in style shift. He can move from simple sentence to complex sentence to compound complex sentence to compound complex ad infinitum sentence. And I have taken an example from an instance from this from a novel which is whose title is Requiem for a Nun, and there is a chapter called The Jail, and the extract I have worked on is taken from this very particular chapter. Now these are the stylistic techniques that are used by the writer to fabricate this monster, this huge sentence. So they can go, he can use stringing, he can use clauses and sequences of clauses imbricating each one. The subordination is endless, and this entails, of course, long descriptions. He can use appositives within appositives, semicolons, parentheses within parentheses, dashes within dashes. Of course, this entails reiteration and the use of participial clauses, subordination, coordination, and an incredible abundance of words. These are the stylistic, the language tools that he generally uses to make his sentence. And I have here an example, just a part of what it looks like. This "and so" is the beginning, the very beginning of the chapter. So as you see, he starts with "and," which is here. He breaks the rule. This is a grammatical rule that has been transgressed, and he stops at "them." Normally, the sentence, the part will continue here. What is in red, what you see in red, is an additional information that he added to explain something in the beginning. Sometimes we do not need it, but there is a purpose in its addition, and we are going to see it. Here I have another example, as a result of which the town, and it finishes here. So all of these is an extra information included between parentheses. This is the end, this is the beginning. And within these parentheses, you can see an appositive, the town, and here there is a double bracket. So all of these, they interrupt the reader. They interrupt the reading act and bring the reader to more reflective, scientific exercise. This is another. Here is another example. So what you see in red is the topic sentence, and all of the rest are additional information. And the question that we ask, what is the relevance of this? What is the relevance of this octopus sentence? I have used the technique which is called lemon squeeze. It's a stylistic technique that we use in analyzing sentences, the language. And I would like you to have a look at all these language tools that Faulkner uses to make his language more complex and complicated. So look at the participial phrases, for example, the subordinate clauses, the parenthetical clauses, the prepositional phrases, the series of adjectives, and the subordination within subordination. All of these are language tools to make his sentence very, very long. But the effect of this complexity is that he helps the reader, the competent reader, to get a very detailed, a very clear mental representation of what he wants to describe. So it is not, he does not give a very simple description of things, but he goes into the deep of every single detail, and this is the analysis of the extract that I have shown you has led to this very detailed description of the setting. And it is a fictional setting, of course, that emanates from a real setting in Faulkner's work, which is called Yoknapataufa County in Jefferson. And this is what it used to be in 1826, around the 1820. This is the fictional setting. So you can see here the jail, which was the very first building built in Jefferson, and the courthouse, which was built up in, with the lean-to, the jail's lean-to, and then all the kind of the trees, all of them are very detailed in this description. And then on the other side of the street, all the blacksmith, the trading post, the coaching yard, and the tavern, which later became a hotel. So this is the fictional setting that is described in that octopus sentence. And actually, the log, the description of the log that has been given by Faulkner, if followed by a reader, a competent reader who is really who really puts the effort to read the text, then the mental representation that he gets will equate the real jail as he stood in that time in 1871. This is one of the effects. And this is another technique that he uses to create subordination within subordination. It is the use of WH relative pronoun. And I have been looking at the reasons why does he use it. So here, this part represents the sentences in which he uses WH relative pronouns. So it goes from who, which, who, etc. And then to understand this, Faulkner's imbrication, the reader has got to go in a scientific exercise where he has to de-imbricate what has been imbricated.
What is imbricated means, please?
Yeah, you've got, for example, I can tell you there is a subordination, you know, and the imbrication is when you create a clause, either a relative or subordinative clause within the main clause. So you've got a sentence, for example, my mother prepared dinner, which was delicious. So which was delicious is a subordinative clause, and it is imbricated within the main clause. Then I can go in that. My mother who prepared a delicious dinner, which was very delicious, is very lovely mother, for example. So with the WH interrogative pronoun, I can produce a very lengthy sentence as long as I want it. Okay, but this is not very useful to do it, because it transforms reading into a very challenging exercise, a very demanding exercise. But this is exactly what Faulkner does, and I'm going to go to the reasons of that imbrication. For example, here he speaks about Isaac, who, and then I have selected this because we don't care about what is before. I want you to focus on this part. Who in all of his life had owned but one object, more than he could wear and carry in his pockets and his hands at one time, and this was the narrow iron cot and the stained lean mattress which he used. He is speaking about, initially he was speaking about Isaac. Okay, then look at the sentence, it doesn't end. And when he gets to the mattress, he feels the need to describe what is the mattress. So he goes within which, an imbrication, which, and then we go to the description of the mattress, a long sentence, and then he gets to, for fishing or simply because he loved the woods, who, it refers to he, and he refers to Isaac. And then he goes back to describing Isaac, again and again. Then who, again, as light and air and whether we're, the who always refers to the main character. When he gets to something he wants to develop, like here, Bengalo, then he feels again the need to describe to the reader what he means by Bengalo, and then it will be which, referring to the Bengalo, then which to the again to the Bengalo, and etc. So it goes. This is the kind of imbrication. Then, in order to understand this complexity, the reader does not merely read. He does not sprawl on the sofa and read like for pleasure. No, he has to get a pen and keep track of all those details. So each time he meets which, he has to go back and locate, identify what does the writer mean by which, and this sometimes it produces a headache. Now, this is what I call de-imbrication. So each time the reader meets WH, he has to find the referent. Isaac, and the Bengalo, the chief Bengalo, etc. This is one of the techniques, is the use of WH pronoun to produce the long sentences. The second technique is la mise en abîme. It's a French word which is used in English. And la mise en abîme is that it is not, in that long sentence, it is not one story. No, it is a story within a story within a story within a story ad infinitum. So I can tell you about my mother, but then my mother will, within the narrative, I can shift to tell you about my father, my grandfathers, etc. But the stories are linked, and the understanding of the one leads to the understanding of the other. So this is I have selected this very nice picture because this is exactly what it is. Faulkner may tell you about these characters, but for the understanding of these characters, you need to understand their relationship with other characters. So this will produce a story within a story within a story within a story, and this technique is also similar to the Matryoshka dolls. I think you are familiar with these. The Matryoshka dolls are those Russian dolls that when you open a doll, you've got one smaller one, another smaller one within the smaller one, and this is what Faulkner does. To describe this guy here, he needs to take you to the original inhabitants of the region so that you can understand all the the relationship between the generations and between blacks, Indians, whites, all the immigrants who came to who make up what is the U.S. And for example, I have selected here an instance where he describes a guy. His name is Satpan, and he is one of the first immigrants to the south of the U.S. And he got a very big design, is to be rich, to be one of the major figures of the region. Then he chose to marry one of the girls of one of the major figures in the region, and this is a very complex figure. But Faulkner, instead of describing, of putting focusing on one person, now he has to understand this guy. We've got like more than 200 WH relative pronoun who, and each time there is a who, a new character comes into the picture. So it is as a doll. You open Satpan and then you find Ellen. You open Ellen, then you find her father. You open the father, then you find the French architect. You open the French architect and you find the Indians. You open the Indian, then you find the black Americans, and all of these are interrelated, and you cannot understand Satpan if you do not understand the relationship of all these generations. So this is one of the techniques, and it is called Matryoshka dolls. And then this is what it does. These techniques create what I called the spatio-temporal syntax. So words would describe weeks and would describe cities. But Faulkner does not only describe the city and does not describe things and narratives in matters of weeks. He needs to describe Yuknapataufa, which is that very huge county located in the south of the US. So the south of the US, with all its history, cannot be contained in words or clauses or sentences. He needs not sentences, he needs one big, long, I say big, and I mean it, it's not long, it's also big, sentence that tells all the human life and that tells all the truths of the heart. And the question now is, what's the relevance of this? The cognitive, for the study of the, it shouldn't go, but okay. For the study of this sentence, I have selected a theory. It is a cognitive, pragmatic theory, which is called relevance theory, la théorie de la pertinence. For those who know French, c'est la théorie de la pertinence, relevance theory. And I have selected it because it works, it helps me to answer my research question, which is what is the relevance of this sentence. So the cognitive, the relevance theory is based on one main principle. It is called the cognitive principle of relevance. And simply, to put it in a very simple words, it is this: as human beings, what we say, if you talk to me, I will listen to you. If I think that it will give me some effects. That's what you are doing right now. You are listening to me because intuitively you think that what I am telling to you is interesting, and then you may have some effects. But as soon as you feel that it is no more interesting, that you are not going to use it, that it is it is not useful to you, you will just leave the room. This is, and it happens in all human communication. We do something, we do an effort because we think that we are going to gain some effects, and this is the relevance. And then my question is, Faulkner is not an idiot, okay? So does he really believe that his readers are going to put a very large effort in reading such an octopus sentence without having some effects? So this is the question. He is sure that if the reader is doing some efforts, he is going to have some effects. And among the effects, we've got contextual implications. Contextual, I explain it briefly. Contextual implication is when you read a sentence, you gain an information, a piece of information. You listen to me, whatever I say, at the end of my presentation, you will have some implications. I learned that Faulkner uses a very long sentence. This is a very simple assumption. But if it is new to you, you are going to build upon it with an old information plus new information, and then you will build your own conclusions. There is also contextual strengthening. You may listen to me and you already know something. Then from my presentation, for example, you are going to learn something that will strengthen what you already know. So this is an effect in itself. Contextual weakening. You are sure of you've got some background about Faulkner, about relevance theory, or about human communication, and then after my presentation you think, oh, okay, I learned something. So the idea I knew was not that correct. Now you correct it. So this is called weakening. What you knew is weakened because you learned something that corrected it. This is one of the implications. And then contextual deletion is when you know something, but it was totally wrong, so you delete it. Either it is weakened or deleted. So these are some of the contextual effects that were put forward by relevance theorists, who are, by the way, Sperber and Wilson. Now we are going to look at we are going to compare this relevance theory with what Faulkner did. Relevance theory says that if I put small effort in something and I get large effects, then this is relevance. C'est ça la pertinence. Je fais très peu d'efforts, mais j'obtiens des résultats énormes. This is relevance. I read a book, I do not invest so much efforts, and I learn a lot. This is relevance. It also means that small efforts, large efforts plus small effects, this is irrelevant. If you ask me to lift a very heavy table and then I don't see the perks, then you are asking me to do something irrelevant. Now, in Faulkner, what happens is that we learn very detailed descriptions. We learn the themes. The more we read these daunting and challenging novels, the more we put efforts in understanding them, and the more we learn about the human nature and the human complexity and the complexity of our life. And there is one reader who puts it very well. She says that the plot is messy, the language is messy, the grammar is messy because our life is messy. So there is somewhere a very faithful transcription of our life. And then my conclusion is that when there is an extra processing effort, there is an extra processing effect, and this is also relevance. So this would be, this must be an additional feature of relevance theory. My final conclusion is that the overall structure of Faulkner's text works to achieve a precise communicative goal, that is the proclamation of his overall themes. Then he restructures the very skeleton of language. It is not one word. Here I have worked only on sentences, but I previously worked on compounding. He has created a word of 16 letters, one word of 16 letters, and this is only Faulkner. In 2011, 2008, somebody came out with a story. It is called the Blah story. And there is a sentence that runs over 3 volumes. I say 3 volumes, not 3 pages. And in these 3 volumes, in this sentence, there is a word, one word. I mean one word. It is made of more than 3 million letters. Blah story. You can Google it. B-L-A-H. Blah, 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 blah. This is Blah story. And it is the reflection of our life. And this is also the feature of modern and postmodern writings. And if they do this, there is always a pragmatic purpose behind it. And this is what is the structure, the restructuring the skeleton of the language to get the reader to restructure his reflection. And it is a scientific exercise, but it is also a scientific exercise into thinking. This exercise leads to capture the complexity of thought, which emanates from the complexity of our modern life. And the implication, of course, it is that confining the thought and forcing the reader to perceive the complexity, the complex interrelationships between blacks, whites, Indians, women, men, children, and villages, towns, and cities. This cannot be said in a very plain language. And Faulkner's syntax is one way of imitating a life story captured within the spatial-temporal dimension of overlapping generations. So these are only some of the conclusions that I have reached within the analysis of the syntactic structures, but also they also parallel the same conclusions come up within the analysis of rhetorical and lexical features. Thank you very much for your attention.
Well, it's something that I've learned and it's new to me. I mean, but the question I want to ask is, based on your topic, the relevance, and then also based on the definition of relevance, what would you say? Would you say it is worth reading, because after reading all that chunk, putting all that effort in, do you get much to justify it? Do you get much from it? Because you said that
Absolutely, yeah.
he defines relevance as the relationship between the effort.
And the effect.
Yes, if the effort is less, but the effect is high, then it is relevant.
Yes.
Now, if the effort is high and the effect is low, it's irrelevant.
Yes.
Now, you need to put in a lot of effort to
Yes.
read all this.
Yes. Absolutely.
So then, back to your question, is it relevant?
Yes. It is relevant if you consider all what you learn from Faulkner. You do not read just for reading. You do not read and scroll on your sofa and have fun. No, you sit down, you take a pen, and you keep track. And then, this is the scientific exercise that you do. And the more you work with this challenging novel, the more you learn. And this exercise obliges you to remember the characters, who is he, who is the father, who is the son, and this very detailed reading teaches you not only to read, but to learn. And the effect is huge, that this is why it is relevant.
Just follow up to Bernard, Chairman, I'm sorry, just follow up to him. What he's saying is you are contradicting your own presentation, because it requires tons of efforts to really, figure out what Faulkner is saying. It's a complex, So what he's saying is, your conclusion is you put a lot of efforts, and impact is less, it becomes irrelevant. You put little effort, impact is more, you say, oh, that's relevant. But what Faulkner is doing is expecting you to put a lot of efforts. If I understand what you're saying, I may be wrong. But what Bernard is saying is, and you contradicting yourself, because it requires a lot of efforts to really figure out what the contextualities, the meanings and relationships that the postmodern thinks that is going on into the making of whites, blacks, all overlapping identities and simulations that you are showing. Did you get my point?
No, I don't see how I am clear.
Sorry. Go ahead, please.
I don't understand what you mean.
Maybe you clarify it. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
what he was trying to say is that you put a lot of effort.
Me, myself?
No,
Or
for the
Faulkner?
leader.
Ah, the reader.
Puts a lot of effort. For what is he going to get value? But my comment, I want to have another comment, is that I disagree with you. That what you did is you analyzed scientifically a work of art. I think in science, the value is the truth. In art, the value is beauty. We read Faulkner because he's an artist. And we accept it from Faulkner, but I wouldn't accept it from anybody else. If somebody writes a sentence like this, I throw it in the rubbish bin. But because he is Faulkner, I accept from him. And I honestly do not know what's the value, but the value is beauty. What effect will have on me is beauty. Like, I give another example, like a painting. So many people produce beautiful painting.
Yeah.
But if he asks you for $1,000, maybe you don't buy it. If another artist just has the name, people buy it for millions of dollars. So the beauty is the target or the objective of Faulkner in producing this sentence. It's a work of art.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
work of art people value. So I will give the effort to read Faulkner because it's beautiful. Well, anybody else would not produce a sentence like that.
Yeah, here I'm afraid you are limiting literature to an aesthetic effect. But this is not all about it. Literature can teach grammar, can teach vocabulary, can teach everything. And the complexity of this language can be put at the surface of pedagogy. So even if your students produce such a language, you would seek to say why.
I will fail them.
What if?
Because it's
What
against
if?
all the teachings, the teachings that you have produced for sentences. Relevant, as you said.
What if there is a pragmatic purpose wherein you need to produce such a lengthy sentence? And this is it. It is
No,
about
there's no
pragmatics.
pragmatic,
It is about
context.
pragmatics.
No, no.
I want my reader to get this complex thought. Am I going to produce it in a simple sentence? I'm free. I'm free to get it to produce it in a very long sentence, to bring my reader to experience that complexity. So there is always, when we talk, there is a pragmatic purpose behind it. You can make very simple sentences, or you can use very technical vocabulary because you know who is your listener. So
Yes.
your language depends on your listener.
right.
This is why. So you are my teacher and you ask me to produce an essay describing nature. I know what you want me to do. And because I know my reader, that I'm going to write to you. But if Faulkner is not writing for a specific one reader, he is writing for himself first.
He's an artist, yes. as I
Yeah,
said.
he's writing for himself. And he wants to address himself within his writings, but he captures, with that complexity, he captures the complexity of the human being in a very complex modern life. So I guess this is why, this is one of his purposes, pragmatic purposes, to produce this specific language. And I'm saying this because he has written a very beautiful story for children. So it is subject, verb, object. Subject, verb, object, because he wrote it for his stepdaughter, and it was very simplistic. And then he moves to a monster sentence. There must be a purpose.
I told you, it's beauty.
No, it is not only beauty.
No,
There
it's
is
beauty.
an intellectual.
Artists
and
always want beauty, they don't teach, you know. Artists don't teach anything.
If you try to, yeah, okay, yeah, please.
Thanks. I just wanted to say, Faulkner's theory is always very vulnerable, especially for people who want to read or want to put persuasion in their speech. For instance, politicians use it very, very fruitfully. I know of some two authors, Theron and Stein, the South African authors, where they put the manifesto, the ANC After National Congress manifesto of 2004, the 2004, where they put the theory of Faulkner so very much in perspective that in it's got an ability to coerce, it's got an ability to persuade, but in the end, you find the value because you end up choosing the African National Congress because the African National Congress does this and that for you, and that's the imbricating part of it. Then they go on. They go on to look. We've got something that's going on now around the change of names for streets. For instance, to rename the streets after the heroes of the struggle of South Africa, like Manasita, like Chris Hani, like Nelson Mandela, like Oliver Tambo, you name it. And they say in that, you find that sometimes you find some contextual meaning. Because for instance, there's some area, they pick up on an area where a street is named after Steve Biko, one of the great heroes, and somebody goes on to say Steve Biko was a law student, and he never was. He was a medical student or something like that, and then it goes on, and they show the beauty of Faulkner's theory in actual context, in a South African context. It's very beautiful. Right. And in the spatial temporal history, we find that historians or development studies, they use that a lot, and it fits in just exactly. And when you read through Faulkner's theory, what you get, you really feel that I know it, I understand it. It's very difficult to get through the whole, jigsaw puzzle. But when you've gotten it, in the end, you feel, yes, I know it, I understand it.
I thank you very much, very much. This is a reader, and she answered you. I could not.
But she answered, no, she agreed with me.
Better than this.
No, she agreed with me. She
It's not
enjoys
about
it.
art.
You
It is
awoke over
about
art.
human
You enjoy it.
sufferance.
But you enjoy it.
Yeah, you do not enjoy it, I guess. You do not enjoy
No, actually,
it.
you
You suffer as much as the character.
If you don't enjoy it, you don't.
cry as much as the character. And you laugh when he laughs. And you really cry. I mean, the way she expressed it, this passion, is exactly what this text reflects. Is this what the text puts you to? So it is not about the art for the sake of the art. It's the art that teaches you life.
Yeah, but there is no, actually, Baya, there is no disagreement. You two.
Yes.
It seems like that. There's a lot of agreement between you two. But he's saying beauty, which our South African scholar just explained, that how deep you could go and extrapolate from there how much you could relate in the end. Is that's what you are also trying to give the message. You feel there is a discrepancy, but what he is focusing on is, Faulkner is writing, if I'm wrong, he's writing for his own beauty sect, that's
right.
in his head. But the point is, it is carrying the message for all those complexities that become simple at the end when you endure with it. And that, as our South African scholar just said, it's how beautifully the ANC has year after year to the complexities of its identities and what they negotiate could be all reflected in Faulkner's ideas of a complex explanation, and it comes to that. You can agree to disagree, but I think you have a lot of agreements here as between them.
With our honorable friend, the only disagreement is that he thinks that this language is not acceptable when it comes to classroom situations.
Yes.
And
Normal people is not acceptable.
we can have more time to discuss about it, because I can convince you that it does. It does because, it does because it is always it depends on what you want to express and who is your reader. And this complexity, you can use it to teach language, to teach grammar. For example, it is, as you said, as you saw, it transgresses all the grammar rules. Then use it to teach the grammar rules.
Yes.
Okay, what I have said, imbrication and de-imbrication. Use the Faulkner's language, that is where he imbricates everything, and ask your students to de-imbricate them. Then you are teaching subordination and coordination. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Different purpose.
Yeah, but then the point is, that is excellent, very well put. But the point is, actually, it is your duty to do it, but that was not Faulkner's beauty or intention, as he's saying originally. But you are doing it, that is your message. That's what it is. Okay, so that is what
is that we can put literature at the service of the
absolutely. I mean, that is your job to do, and which you are doing wonderfully well.
Thank you very much.
Yes, yes. Sorry, she has a question. See, Bernard is the chair. I thought he will intervene. Bernard is not intervening, leaving it to you. You're supposed to intervene, see who asks the questions and stuff.
Well, I'm not a chair.
You're not the chair, okay?
No.
Okay, sorry.
She is.
Okay.
Okay.
So I just want to know about what are the tips from your side?
Pardon me, what are
the different tips
types
from your side to make easy all these complex sentences for other students? Easy to understand, to comprehend all these.
Well, there are very, very many techniques to transform this very daunting reading into an accessible reading. And I don't want to produce any advertisement, but I am looking for a publisher.
You're doing good. You're doing good.
But this answers our question. I have produced the book containing 62 activities. That the only aim of these activities is to make the Sound and the Fury, which is Faulkner's masterpiece, into a very accessible reading. So yes, it is a very good question, because we need students need assistance in reading Faulkner. It is one of the books that you cannot just ask them to read. Okay, here is the book, read it. Impossible. They need a preparation. And a preparation in schemata, what I call schemata because it is reading techniques, both reading techniques and pre-vocabulary teaching and pre-history teaching. So they need this equipment to go and get in the book, because without this equipment, they cannot make sense of it, and they will just throw it out of the window. So among the activities that I have created is pre-reading, while reading, and post-reading activities.